Welcome back to another jam-packed episode of the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. I am your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the rainy and comfortable confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. This episode will be dedicated to the Bird game, Fly We'll be recapping the Eagles versus Lions game, my takes and information that I've gathered. I've given it a couple of days now to want to make sure I give you an accurate video and some accurate reporting on all the information. Nonetheless, as always, guys, like I said, definitely want to thank you for plugging in. You can check the show out, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Substack, Patreon, Trovo, and as well as on Podbean. All right, so getting into this episode, guys, 16-9 Eagles, Fly pulled out another amazing victory against the Detroit Lions. You played up against a tough defense, played up against a team that's been one of the best teams in the league for the past 4 or 5 years, respectively. So you figured the Eagles were definitely going to have a tough matchup. None of us expected the matchup that we got. I mean, it was pretty nerve-wracking to start. Let's be honest, Eagles offense definitely left much to be desired, but getting into it, was a lot of things, a lot of shit that's been said within the past, 48 to 72 hours since the game. A lot of feelings have been injected into the air, a lot of ill will towards Jalen Hurts, some towards A.J. Brown, a lot of it towards the Eagles in general. When you're successful, these are things that happen. This is when you really got to lock in. I really feel like this is possibly beneficial for this team right now. And there's a lot that could really help them in this quest to try to repeat as Super Bowl champions. Needless to say, going into the game review, this game was basically one of those old-fashioned defensive dogfights where all week you're hearing about the selling of the offense, Eagles offense not playing up to standard, Detroit's offense coming off a high-flying game, Detroit's putting up all these yards. I mean, hell, let's just go into their last game right here via ProFootballReference.com. The Lions in their last game, let's just look at it, had 546 yards of total offense. That was against the Commanders. And the previous game against the Vikings, you're talking about 305. Previous game against the Buccaneers, 379. This team was clearly clicking on all cylinders and just, they're an offensive juggernaut. I mean, needless to say, Jared Goff kind of, resurrected his career. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been a legitimate number one threat and target at the wide receiver position. They got Jameson Williams. Sam Laporta didn't play, which I think that definitely affected their offense too. He didn't play in the game Sunday night. And Jahmyr Gibbs is obviously one of the most electrifying athletes in the game. That being said, it pissed me off when I really heard a lot of the Eagles reporters and fans and just pundits, coming out saying, oh my God, I just can't believe that, they didn't score that many more points against this team. I mean, I don't really get it sometimes. You're playing an offense where this game, I mean, last time these teams played, just to give you a synopsis, these teams have not played each other in a game in about 3 years. So the last time the Eagles played the Lions was regular season opening day 3 years ago, September 10th of 2022. You're talking about a game where the score was 38-35. Look back at that Eagles defense that year. That was a historic defensive run. No one expected the Lions to score that many points. Did anybody suspect the Lions to be that good? No. But I always felt, and I just always had this conviction that if we ever ran into them again, their offense would not be as potent. Now, again, all fairness, no Sam Laporta, but injuries are a part of the game. The best ability is availability, and his ass wasn't there. So that being said, the first couple drives into the game, Eagles get a field goal. Offense is just stagnant, 3 and out. The play calling started off okay, and then it just went into random play call generator mode, which I'm not a fan of with Kevin Patullo. I think he is definitely warranting possibly this being the final year of him being the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. There is no way that you have an offense with Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Saquon Barkley, and Dallas Goedert, and you struggle at times the way you do on offense. And I think what it is because there's no consistency. There's no real plan to it. It's because when you're that good, you could just call plays and run whatever you want and you could get it off. But there comes a time where you have to run plays. It does not really seem like there's a consistent flow to what Kevin Patullo was doing. Like for instance, Sunday night, that's a game where you got Jalen Hurts throwing, and I want to make sure I got this correctly. Jalen Hurts threw the ball 28 times. Now, you're throwing the ball 28 times in fucking wind that's going at 15 miles per hour, but let's be real, we all know with the real wind gust, it was up to 30. Now, it didn't look like the deep ball was bad. I mean, there was definitely some bad drops in there. He was inaccurate at times, but that's not the type of game plan where it's like, well, let's throw it a bunch of times. But I think what also didn't help, guys dropped the ball. I mean, if we're looking at it here, I know in my notes, I know Devontae Smith had 2 drops. I want to look here, receiving wise. Give me 1 second because I'm on the NFL stat sheet. But, I mean, you had drops. You had Goddard with some bad drops. You had Smitty with some bad drops. You put yourself in a situation where if the guys aren't catching the ball and they're in a situation where it's like, okay, we're not completing passes, we're not converting downs, something's not being converted properly enough, the team's going to be in a situation where down the distance is going to be an issue. And then these fucking pre-snap penalties. To say bane of my existence, to say pain in my ass would be an understatement. There is nothing more annoying than what the Eagles have been plagued with this year, and it has been pre-snap penalties. Now, I would mind you that a lot of it has to do in the fact with what? The fact that the Eagles have a lot of guys that hadn't played coming in and playing, the Brett Tolts, guys of that nature, having to get acclimated to the position, which I will give Brett Tolt a lot of credit when he has stepped in this year, not early on, but like past several games leading up until Cam Jurgens coming back. He played pretty decently. However, you could really look at it and really assess that the offensive line being injured and consistently being in flux, that has caused a lot of problems. It's one of those situations where you don't know where things are really going to go, but you're kind of hoping that they can get it rectified, because with that offensive line having the issues that it's having right now with health and consistency, there's no reason why Saquon's not in the top 5 of rushing. It's obvious. There's no reason. There's obviously a reason why, Jalen Hurts is struggling in the passing game. This was something they were struggling with last year, and the offensive line was playing well. If we got injuries now, and then there's times where, and I'll be honest, there's times where Jalen's just not seeing the field correctly. There's times where he may have the first read there, he may have the second read there, or he doesn't trust what he's seeing, and he tries to go somewhere else, and then he goes into a scrambling drill, he holds it. And I will admit, that being said, he still played pretty damn mistake-free football throughout this season. I think what people don't really realize is, too, Jalen Hurts' career is no longer going to be gauged upon what he does necessarily just in the regular season. When you get a team to the Super Bowl and you win and you become a Super Bowl MVP, your career is now defined by how much you win. It's no longer about, oh, well, he's got to be an MVP candidate. He's got to throw for 4,000 or 5,000 yards. No, you got to win fucking games. And you got to consistently win, because people can talk all that shit about bad play, inconsistency. And I mean, hell, you got the reports in the locker room. I'm going to grab this information from InsideTheEagles.com. I mean, you got Mailata having to answer questions. You guys will see the video here of Nick Sirianni having to answer questions in regards to Jalen Hurts. And then, of course, then you got a situation where it's like, analysts are just, it's a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors and innuendo. You did hear the reports earlier in the year from Diana Rossini talking about Jalen Hurts. Now, it's guys saying that, they're fed up with how he's not really listening. He's not really adhering to things. He's just trying to do his own thing. I don't think people really realize what pressure that man is under. Every year, excluding 2021 and 2022, excluding those seasons, you have not had the same offensive coordinator consistently. You have not, since that season, have not had the same offensive coordinator. And we can even go back prior to that. Even when this man was in college, did not have the same offensive coordinator. But somehow, and we have proof of this, 2023, be more aggressive. It didn't work. He turned the ball over more. Put the team in bad situations. And everybody said, oh, well, he regressed. He's not elite. He's not that good. All that bullshit. And then now when he's playing mistake-free football, when he's playing winning football, oh, well, he's only throwing for a certain amount of yards, and oh, he's only doing this. Is he making a mistake that's backbreaking? Now, I would admit, as I stated earlier, I do feel like his aggressiveness leads to winning football, and I'll touch on that. But I have to make sure I state this. This narrative that's being put out there about Jalen Hurts is just, a bad teammate or a guy that's just not really listening to coaching. Or I don't buy that shit for a minute. I don't buy that bullshit for a minute. I believe Derek Gunn, there was some merit to his report. I believe that there was definitely somebody, could have been AJ, could have been a disgruntled receiver, could have been a coach, could have been anybody, could have been anybody in the organization that spoke to it out of frustration. That felt like they had a moment and they had an ear and they had somebody that would listen and the word would get back. It happens all the time. That being said, this is bullshit. Now, where I feel like this could be beneficial for Philadelphia, I feel like right now, you got people kind of coming at your neck. You're 8-2. You got the number 1 seed. You got the tiebreak over the Rams. As long as you keep winning, you have it. Right now, everybody wants you to fall off. They're ready for this team to fall into shambles. They want repeats of 2023. They don't want to see this team compete for another Super Bowl. This is the moment that the Eagles really need to galvanize together, work together as a team, hunker the fuck down, and just seal the deal. Because I really feel like right now, more than ever, they're under attack from a lot of different areas. And they always are. It never changes. It's just the faces and the names change. That's really it. It's always the same shit. AJ Brown spoke, after the Super Bowl about the journey and the process. Well, I hope he and the rest of the guys are ready because we're going to need them hitting the ground running at all cylinders. This is definitely kind of startling, like all the hate and vitriol this team is getting. Like I said, they have not played the great. They have not, but they have not played that fucking bad to where they have gotten the ridicule and just energy that they've deserved. It's kind of startling, but got to give a shout out in the first half. Like I said, Cooper DeJean getting that interception, putting the offense in a good situation to score. Like I said, they get the field goal. But ultimately, the story of this game was the Eagles' defense holding that juggernaut of a Lions offense to just the most minimal yardage output they've seen in a while. And I even researched this to look. I mean, the 74 yards rushing total as a unit, just to give you an idea of how well this Lions team has run the ball this year, they have had 6 games, 6 out of 11 that they have ran for 100 plus yards on the ground. They have only had 4 games where they've rushed under 100 yards. And I would tell you, outside of the Packers on opening day and against the Vikings, this would be their third lowest output of the season. So impressive performance by the Eagles defense. Definitely took away a team whose third down percentage has not, the Lions have not really been a good team on third down this year. They've had to kind of go for it a lot on fourth down. And the stats kind of bear out there, and you'll see it on the screen. They're 36% on third down, whereas on fourth down, they're 56%. So just kind of tells you the stats right then and there. And the Eagles essentially knew that it was a 4-down game. They knew that this team was not going to be punting a lot. They knew that they were going to have to be on, alert, whether the fakes, which Detroit tried, the adjustments, anything that Detroit was really trying to really do that was made them, the Detroit Lions, the biting kneecaps, it just wasn't there. So credit to Vic Fangio and the defense. Jalenphillips has been a fucking godsend for this defensive line since he's been there. Just to make sure I'm getting this correctly, because I want to make sure I'm stating this correct. Jalenphillips, he did have a sack in that game, also 2 tackles, also a tackle for a loss, 2 QB pressures. So love that performance there. Jalencarter, Jordan Phillips, Jordan Davis, excuse me, I said Jordan Phillips. My apologies. Jalenphillips, Jalencarter, Jordan Davis. Just amazing on defense right now, playing at a high level. Those batted passes that Jordan Davis had. Jordan Davis is essentially defensively, possibly, him and Jalencarter alone have won us 2 games this year on defense. The Rams game, hands down, and definitely this game, past game Sunday night. You have to, if you're Howie, you're kind of creating a predicament for yourself where you're going to have to be paying a lot of money where offensively, you might have to get off a guy or two to ensure that you keep this defense together. Because I'm going to say it again, you went into this year knowing that you were going to have to get off a lot of guys. I believe they showed the stat in the beginning of the year. It was the most free agent departures of a Super Bowl champion ever in the Super Bowl era. Okay, well, it took a couple weeks. Guys got healthy, and the defense is starting to gel. You bring a Jalenphillips in, it looks like a brand new team. on defense. So right now at this point, I feel like you just got to just continue to get better, stay healthy, continue to batten down the hatches. You have one of the better units in the league. I mean, right now, just to give you an idea how well this Eagles defense is playing, they're statistically ranked right now the 8th best defense in football. And I would argue that if they have a couple more games like they had on Sunday night, they'll end up possibly being in the top 3 in that ranking. I spoke on the offense. It's currently ranked 16th in the league, just not good at all, middle of the pack. Definitely has to be better. You go through the third and fourth quarter, both teams, neither one of them get points, no possessions there, just pretty much wasted possessions. And then in the fourth quarter is where the game essentially opened up and just changed. Now, in that fourth quarter, you're talking about an Eagles offense at that point that had just been stagnant. You're talking about a Detroit Lions offense that had been stagnant at that point. Now you're getting into there where it's like the Eagles defense is pretty much putting it on the platter for the Eagles offense to just get the game sealed up and done. You go into it, you look there in that fourth quarter, long drive, ends in a field goal again, pre-snap penalties. You got Mailata getting a damn offensive holding penalty. Well, it wasn't pre-snap, that was holding, but you get what I'm saying. A lot of these dumbass penalties, either before or right after the snap, killing drives, killing all momentum. A.J. Brown said it best after the game. They have to stop shooting themselves in the foot. And then once they're able to do that, they're able to then really attack and hit on all cylinders like we know they can. This team should easily be scoring 30 points a game. Easily. It's kind of ridiculous the way that they play at times. But I also think, too, we also have to stop this notion that the tush push is automatic. We clearly see when certain guys are not in that lineup in the offensive line, the push is just not there. Got to give the Lions a shitload of credit for stopping the Eagles on a fourth down. That's the Eagles' bread and butter play. The Lions did exactly what they were supposed to do, stopped us. We didn't get the first down, so we got to definitely tighten up there. Sirianni has to get a little bit more innovative on that instead of just running that play. Now, my key takeaways from this game, obviously a lot that was said. Eagles defense is amazing. 2 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss, 10 passes defended, 7 quarterback hits. Like I said, Jordan Davis, 3 passes batted down, Jalencarter 2. Like I said, performances like that will have you right in the cusp or right in the NFC Championship game again. 2, Eagles offense was too inconsistent, but I don't think people are paying attention to the drops. And I think also, too, one of the things that I don't think gets mentioned a lot, the Eagles' schedule has really been a legitimate Super Bowl champion trying to repeat style schedule. And I mean in the aspect of when you're the number one, you've won your division and you were the number 2 seed in the NFC, and then you go on to win the Super Bowl in a dominating fashion, you're going to get everyone's best. And I think a lot of times people kind of forget that the Eagles, though they are the Eagles and though they have the names they have and though they are dominant, there are other professionals on the other side that play the game the same way and definitely are playing to stop what the Eagles are doing and what they do well. And like I said, it doesn't help that the Kevin Patullo and the Eagles kind of go through that random play call generator phase on Madden where they're just kind of picking anything and just running with it instead of having a consistent plan most of the time. And I also think that Kevin Patullo's newness or being a rookie or a novice at the position definitely has affected the team. But when the receivers drop the ball, we have to acknowledge it. I mean, Sunday night, there were guys dropping passes. Smitty had some bad drops. AJ definitely had a couple drops. Granson had a drop along the sidelines or a perfect pass from Jalen. So guys got to accept some culpability and definitely catch the ball when it's thrown to them. But most importantly, the Lions had the clamps put down on them. I mean, they really couldn't do anything they wanted to do. They gave a lot of credit to the Eagles defense after the game, rightfully so. And Jared Goff has just consistently proved that in cold weather, difficult circumstances outside, you cannot trust him with the game in his hands. So with the Lions having the record they've had this year, something to monitor if you're Detroit, because you're definitely going to have to possibly play on the road this year, start the postseason. So be that as it may. Thank God for Jake Elliott. I definitely think he's played well for us this year. Jake Elliott definitely hit those clutch field goals in that blustery-ass conditions, and all of those points were needed, every last one of those field goals. Now to the most important news before we end this episode, the Lane Johnson information. As we know, Lane Johnson has a Liz Frank injury. He'll be out 4 to 6 weeks. Devastating news to an offensive line that was just bragging about being back together for the first time in weeks. This will come down to Jeff Stoutland magic. His magic will be needed for this team to really win. Fred Johnson, thank God he's already played this season. Thank God he's had big game action. Thank God he's had to play in tough spots. it is going to be very imperative for him and the rest of this offensive line to be prepared, because make no mistake, if this offensive line is not right, no matter what Philadelphia is trying to do, it will go to shit if these guys can't secure blocks. And make no mistake, you're playing everybody, and they're giving you their A game. So be that as it may, AJ Brown said it best. If you beat us, hats off to you. Eagles beat themselves with pre-snap penalties, bad decisions, and just inconsistency. They can tighten these things up. I really do see this team repeating. Now, you got Dallas this coming week. Definitely a huge matchup. You can definitely put the nail in the coffin of the Cowboys by winning this game. I feel like you have to. It is imperative for you to win this game, because I think, honestly, you start winning a couple more of these games down the stretch, you might have to start sitting some guys. Really start thinking about that stretch run where it's like, maybe we don't need to play certain guys. I mean, Saquon ran for 2,000 last year. He's going to get projected to have over 1,000 yards this year. Nowhere near the 2,000-yard season. Get guys healthy. Get Lane Johnson back. Get some of your other guys. You got Nolan Smith. You see he's on kind of like a pitch count right now. Get your guys healthy. You need all these young guys really to hit on all cylinders to really repeat as Super Bowl champions. And without any of those guys, especially a Lane Johnson type, it's just going to make it a bit more difficult. But I have faith in this team. They have definitely persevered and definitely overcome a lot within the past 8 to 10 years. So be that as it may, fly Eagles fly, and definitely stay tuned for the next episode. I love you guys for plugging in. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.